Hey guys, wanted to remind you that this episode is brought to you by our friends at RX Smart Gear. If you had a chance to check out the CrossFit Games this past weekend, the athletes used a drag rope in the last event, that Awful Annie event. I first found out about the drag rope at the Granite Games in 2019. That was introduced to athletes for the first time, I think the first time in competition. And they recently popped up again at the Masters Fitness Collective in Fort Wayne this past September, where they hosted a bunch of Masters athletes. And then here we are with the phase one of the CrossFit Games, and the drag rope shows up again. So what is it about this drag rope that's so special? It is a heavy material. It's not a cable or a wire. It doesn't have any sort of spinning on the handles. So it's really a bigger load on your arms and shoulders. It doesn't spin around nearly as fast, so you kind of have to get used to the rhythm of it. It's a great challenge if you want a different kind of stimulus than a normal jump rope would provide. It's great for beginners if you want a really heavy rope to give you some feedback. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but a lot of people are working out without shoes or barefoot. I personally don't get it, but if you use a drag rope and you have bare feet, you're less likely to cut your feet up if you're doing jump ropes as well. So that's something to consider. And guess what? The drag ropes, they're under $30. So a great value. They come in 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large. It depends on your height as to what size you're going to get. And like I said, it makes for a really great workout. So check them out at rxsmartgear.com and use our discount code Clydesdale15 in all caps to get 15% off your order.
There it is. Hi, Julie.
Hey there, you're on mute. Okay.
There we go.
That's better.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you guys?
Good. It's good to see you again.
You too.
Real quick intro. We've got my co-hosts Scott and Amy.
Hi there. Welcome.
Hi.
This is Julie, and we're just going to get started. How are you doing today? Can you hear us okay, Jules?
Yeah, my husband is just wheeling out the garbage.
Oh, perfect timing. There's no telling what you'll hear in the background of any of ours either.
Yeah.
So we'll just play it by ear.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on and taking the time to talk to us today.
Sure.
Just a little background for our listeners. So Julie and I met at the Masters Fitness Collective in Fort Wayne. And I'm not really sure what it was, but there's just something about you, Julie, that I was drawn to. I was working, you were competing. We are both vertically challenged, so I felt a little bit of a bond there in our shortness. Julie's way fitter than I am, so let's just be clear there. But I just, felt like we needed to talk. And we had a couple of interactions, and I know when I was checking out of the hotel, we saw each other, and I just said, would you like to be on the podcast? You were like, that'd be great. So really, I appreciate you taking the time, and you've got a lot of titles that I want to dig into. Right?
Okay.
So we've done our research, and I got a couple that I'm going to rattle off here, and then we'll sort of dig into them one by one.
Okay.
And you stop me if I get them wrong. So you got D1 soccer athlete. You've got a national weightlifting champion. CrossFit Games athlete. WAG coach, working against gravity nutrition coach. Couples counselor, which I love. You're a mom of 2 young kids, a wife, and a double C-section survivor like myself.
Yes.
Right? Cool. All right. So I think we're just going to start from the beginning.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about life as a child, growing up.
Oh, geez. We're going way back.
Way back.
I grew up in California and north of the Bay Area, and I'm the youngest of 3. And just grew up very athletically oriented. I played baseball with the boys, and I played soccer, and kind of was just any athletics you could throw at me, except for gymnastics, unfortunately. I'm built like a gymnast, but I was a real tomboy, and so anything that I could imagine, my parents wanted to get me into gymnastics, and as soon as I knew that oh no, the girls wear leotards, nope, not gonna do it. Which is a real bummer now, because I'm I wish I had done that.
Totally.
But then it got to the point where my parents told me I had to choose a sport because we were just going all over. and I chose soccer. And then I was my goal was to be in the Olympics. They didn't have women's soccer in the Olympics at that point, but that was my goal. And I was kind of on that track. And then due to just some family history, as well as just some other stuff, I wound up developing anorexia. And went from kind of the very best and fastest to the very worst and slowest. And it just rocked my world. I was 14, maybe 15. And I was just kind of a shell of a person. It really just robbed me of all my identity. And so I spent a lot of my high school years kind of crawling back from that, and kind of proving to myself, I think, that I could be a professional or a competitive athlete or soccer player at that point.
Were you getting pressure to lose weight or anything, like from the teams at all, or it was just kind of something that manifested on its own?
No, I grew up, my mom had an eating disorder, whatever. And my sister had an eating disorder. And it just kind of, I think that's what I just learned, that like women do when they.
I think that stage of development and life, that's such a hard stage anyways, because you're trying to figure out who you are, like you're growing into being a woman, and there's so many confusing emotional things also, and physical things happening that you can fall into that trap of trying to control something when there's so much you can't control.
Absolutely. And I do remember, just I was in high school and these, this one girl in particular, but I'm sure I was getting it all over. It's like I went from probably about 115 at the time I got down to like 87 pounds. And I was like probably at 90 pounds at this point. And she was like, "Oh my God, you look great." And I was like, I just remember thinking, like, I never got to the point where I thought I looked good. I thought I didn't look good, but I just couldn't stop it. And I just was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, I look horrible. Like, how could you think I look good?" But so anyway, then I wound up going away to Cornell University, D1 school, got recruited for soccer, and it was a blast. I thought I was at summer camp, just getting to play soccer, and there's that school thing.
You moved all the way across the country.
Yeah.
How was that? What was that like?
I saw Cornell and thought, when I saw it, I was like, this is what I envisioned like college to be. It just, with the ivy on the buildings, and it was just beautiful. And so I went, and it was a complete culture shock for me. It was, here's this laid back California kid, and I was surrounded by a lot of New York people, and they thought I was crazy. I thought they were crazy. It wound up not to be a good match. So then I transferred to Colorado College and finished out my career there. I was bulimic in college, so that was another thing I was dealing with. And then I was battling with some injuries. I had a torn hip flexor at Cornell. And then when I was transferring over to Colorado College, I wound up tearing my ACL in my left knee. And so I was rehabbing that my whole junior year, and then finally got cleared to play for my senior year.
Okay. Did you get any support? Did you get any support from the school on your eating disorder, or did you seek any outside help, or was this all you sort of just fixing yourself?
I was on my own. I didn't, it was very eating disorders, and especially bulimia, is so secretive, so shameful. And so there was a lot of shadow going on in my life at that point. And I wound up graduating and just was miserable, and was like, you know what? I'm not going anywhere or doing anything until I conquer this. And So that's when I entered into individual and group therapy. And then that was like my trajectory to health, I guess. And
Nice.
then I was psychology and pre-med in my undergrad, and I started trying to study for the MCATs after I graduated and couldn't do it, and was just not motivated. And so then I didn't know what I was going to do, so I just was in therapy and waitressing and figuring it out. And then that's when I started to really enjoy therapy a lot, and was like, maybe I could do this thing. And so then I moved up to Boulder to go to Naropa University. It's a Buddhist founded school, and did my master's in transpersonal psychology. And all the while, I was playing soccer and doing semi-pro soccer at that point.
Okay.
And graduated in 2001, and then got my license in 2003. Left the country for a year and a half to go to Costa Rica, something that I just always had wanted to do.
Okay.
And so lived there for a while, came back, and still was playing soccer. And then in 2008, met my husband. He was doing CrossFit in Seattle.
Okay.
I forgot what it's called, but it's one of the first ones. They actually have shut down since, but it was one of the first CrossFit affiliates. And he told me about it, and was like, what is, at the time I was doing the slow cardio, and he's like, you should try this thing. And it was when everybody was doing cross training as well. And so, there's all this stuff, and I'm like, what is this CrossFit thing? And he's like, it's like a lot of different things. It's intense. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, like, how long was your workout today? And he's like, oh, it was like, he must've done Grace or something. He was like, it was like 2 minutes. And I was like, okay, you know what? You cannot get a workout in 2 minutes. And he's like, well, it was, you're going hard the whole time. And I'm like, yeah, no, like, basically it's just stupid. And then he was in Seattle. He wound up moving to Boulder. And then after about a month, he got me to try it. And then I was hooked, and then he stopped doing it. So
Isn't that always the way, right?
yeah.
That is great. So did you find that that doing CrossFit sort of brought out that competitive, were you a competitive person? I mean, I know you played competitively, but did you have that competitive mindset? And did that get sort of reawakened?
I've always just loved challenges, and love conquering things and learning new things. And I don't like being bad at things. So that really pushes me. But I loved just learning new movements. And it was like, I could finally find, like, soccer was my joy. And it was so cool to find some other thing that brought me that same level of, it was nice because it brought me in with challenges, and more challenges versus, soccer that I'd been doing since I was 5, so it was really cool.
Did you find that participating in CrossFit shifted your mind a little bit when it came to body image?
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Well, I struggled a lot initially, and a lot of the women in my gym, we kind of commiserated around it, where we were like, we're getting big. You're getting
bulky.
Yeah, exactly. And so I started at the end of 2008, and I got married in February of 2009. And literally I got a fitting before I had started CrossFit. It was all good. And then I got like another fitting about a month after I'd started. And the seamstress was like, what have you been doing? because we have to let this out. And so I was like,
Oh, no.
I told my coach, I was like, no more pull-ups. I can't do any more pull-ups until I get married. So yeah, we were like, our shirts are getting too tight. And so there was a lot there that we were struggling with. And then I feel like something shifted with CrossFit, where we started just as a culture to really appreciate muscles and just fit, and that it wasn't like you had to be what. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, and we really embraced women being strong then. I think there was that shift, you know?
Yeah. And I just kind of was like, you know what? I'm just going to let go. I'm just going to let go and let my body do what it wants to do. And I love what I'm doing, and screw it. If I have to wear a bigger shirt, like, okay. And once I kind of got into that acceptance, it was much, much easier.
I love it. Very cool. So when did you start competing in CrossFit?
Right away, actually. So I started, like I said, at the end of 2008, and by I think like spring of 2009, I was doing, I think at that point they had the, what were they called at that point? It was before regionals.
The sectionals?
Sectionals. I was like, what's
Mm-hmm.
the sectionals? It was something, yeah, sectionals. So I did a sectional, and then at that point they were taking teams, but you didn't have to really do much to like go. You could just sign up. So we signed up as a team, and so I went to the games in 2009 on a team.
Oh, cool.
That was super fun. Yeah.
At the ranch, right?
Yes. It was so great to watch. Like, I don't remember who it was, but that was when, like, the first time a woman knocked out butterfly pull-ups.
Mm.
And it was just, I mean, I just watched and was like, that is effing awesome. You know, it's just, and I just remember I wanted to be there, you know, I wanted to be on that stage.
And so how old were you when you first went to the games?
You mean as an individual?
In 2009. How old were you then?
Oh, 2009. Make me do math. Let's see. I was 38.
Got it. Okay. Very exciting. And so, yeah, so as an individual, I've got some notes down here that says you've been essentially in the top 50 worldwide in the open in the last like 6-7 years, or since 2016. So clearly, you know, you got really good to stand on your own. When did you first realize that like that would be a possibility for you?
I don't know. Really, I think it was right around, you know, because in all this time too, I've had 2 kids. So it was like I'd be working for something, and then got pregnant, and then, you know, it wasn't but it was, you know,
Yeah.
pregnant. But I think around 2016, when all I had been doing was just doing the class WODs, I hadn't been doing anything else. And I came in, I think, I don't know what, but, you know, relatively close. And I was like, like, if I really put in some more time here, maybe did some more weightlifting or something other than just WODs, like, I think I might be able to make it work. And so that's kind of when I decided, like, I'm going to start getting a little serious about it.
And what did getting serious look like for you?
That meant getting my own coach, own programming.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you still work with that coach now?
I don't. Well, at first I was doing, I think I was doing Invictus, their competitors program. I really, really liked that. I thought it was great. And then I got a coach who was at my gym, and he had just taken the OPEX training, and he's a PT. And so I asked him if he would coach me. So he coached me and programmed for me for about 6 to 9 months. and at that point, he wasn't just coaching, he was doing his PT, and I just felt like he was great. But I was like, oh, I feel bad if I'm kind of bugging him, because I know that he has this other PT job going on. And so I didn't want to bother him. And I was like, I feel like I need just a full-time coach that's all they're doing. And so then I switched to an OPEX coach at that point.
Got it.
So how did you leak in? I'm going to say leak because it seems like you're overly busy here with having 2 kids and doing all this extra training. How did you leak in doing your counseling?
Yeah, I mean, so I specialized in couples probably, trying to think, probably around 2000, like exclusively probably around 2017.
Okay.
So, but owning my own practice, then I can schedule how I want. So I was just kind of playing Tetris with my schedule, and just, having my husband definitely would help me out a lot. Can't do it without the village. So, we just worked around it. And
let's talk a little bit about your national weightlifting title. So I know a lot of folks, myself included, you get to a point in CrossFit where you're sort of strong for a CrossFit athlete, and especially for us masters, you realize that your 1 rep max snatch and clean and jerk are pretty competitive, on the national level in weightlifting. So what sort of brought you to that transition?
It's kind of a funny story. I mean, it's funny when I look at it. So I had my daughter in October of 2015. And then of course I took 6 weeks, like absolutely no training. And so by, December, I started to just start training again. And there was a guy at my gym who's very much into weightlifting. He's a very good coach, and his passion is that. And he was like, you need to come, or you need to do this weightlifting meet in February and try to qualify for the Savannah tournament. And so I was like, I just had a kid, whatever. And so he's like, just do it, so I did it and wound up qualifying. And just because I'm a CrossFitter, we can do that. And then he was like, you got to come to Savannah. And I'm like, yeah, but that's right during the open. It was right during the open. He's like, so I was like, I don't think I'm going to go. And he was like, you should just, he was very convincing. So I wound up going. And weightlifting meets for me, I absolutely love, because I don't consider it my sport. It's just something I'm doing for fun. And so I never got nervous with any of them. I just was like, put some weight on the bar and let me lift it. Like, it just was like fun for me. And so, so that happened where, I did this, went through with the snatches. And then after, I think my first clean and jerk, I had already won against the competition. And so whatever, they were already done lifting. And so, I mean, God bless him. He was so into weightlifting that he had the wherewithal to look up what the national record was. And so he was like, you want to go for a national record? And I was like, I don't okay, whatever. And so they just, gathered the judges. They had to have 3 like registered judges there. And so then I just did it.
I love it.
That was that. It was very unexpected. It wasn't like I went in knowing anything. I and even when I did it, I still didn't really realize like what it was. It was just kind of fun. So it's kind of
awesome.
weird to have that.
I'm sure weightlifters hate hearing that from CrossFit athletes, but it is true that we're just biased to the weight and can go in there and just sort of dominate their sport. It's kind of funny.
Sure, that's not really, I don't mean it to be.
No, I know.
I love how you said, I just did it. I just did it. That's great.
Because in a normal meet, like, you would have been finished, right? Like, you didn't have to do your other 2 lifts because you went last because it was the heavier bar, right? And everyone else sort of maxed out and did their 3. So that's awesome. Very cool story. I like that.
It's fun. It's fun. I think everybody should do weightlifting.
Agreed. So in 2017, you went back to the games as an individual.
Yes.
What was that like? That was the first year in Madison, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was really unexpected. I had started with my coach. So I had abdominal surgery to fix a hernia in June, I believe, of 2016.
Okay.
And so I couldn't work out at all until August. So it was like middle of August. And that's right when I got paired up with my current coach. And so we were talking and he asked me what my goals were. And I was like, I'd love to be able to make the games. And so, really in our heads, it was like, this is a 2-year process. Like I've got some building to do and whatever. And so when it was, kind of like the results were coming in, it was like, oh my God. And we talk about it now where it was like, it was awesome. But in his head, he was like, oh shit. Like, like we have so much work to do. And like, she's not ready kind of thing, but you're not going to turn down an invite, so we kind of just made the best of it.
So did you soak up the experience?
I did not.
No.
I had a horrible experience.
Oh,
Tell us
all about it.
Let's hear it. I started off, it was great. And then, it was like, I talk about like, oh, I'm here. And then I'm like, ugh, down in the depths. And I'm like, oh, I have to crawl myself out. And then I get up a little bit. And then I'm like, oh, no, that wasn't the depths. I'm going lower now. And then I just was like, not performing like I knew myself to be. And so it was very hard emotionally. And I certainly wasn't a seasoned competitor on the floor. And so, I learned I couldn't even learn a lot. I was so emotional at that point of just what is going on. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it was not a great experience for me. And I was bummed about that. But I got back and realized that I had absolutely, I got some tests done and I had absolutely no testosterone in my body.
Wow.
So that was eye-opening for me. And I had to then take 2 years off.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, is that due to the break that you did take? Okay.
Yeah.
So you take the break, you're still keeping up with your fitness, I assume, because you're back at it now, and you qualify for the games in 2020.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Then they cancel the games. So then what?
Yeah, it was such an interesting time. It was very lackluster. Here was this thing that was like, oh my God, like I really was stoked. I was stoked about, like, even going into the qualifier, I came in differently than I ever have. I felt like, you know what, I have done everything that I could possibly do to prepare myself as best as possible for this challenge. And no matter how I come out or how I place, like, I know that I have done everything I can do. And I don't have any regrets in that way. And so I wasn't really, of course I wanted to come in the top 10, but if I didn't, I was okay with that. I was really like, I'm good with how I've prepared. And then, it went my way, and it was just weird because I remember the day that we finished the workouts was pretty much the day that we had quarantine. Like, I couldn't go back into the gym, and I wasn't going to go back into the gym anyway. I was going to take a week off, but it just was so weird to like have this really exciting thing happen and feel really good and have none of my gym around me to kind of witness it. And just reflect it. And not that I do it for that, but it was just like, did this even occur? Did this even happen? And so it just felt like it was in a vacuum. It was very strange. And so then it was, then it was like just sitting there going, I don't know what I'm even training for at this point. I don't doesn't seem like they don't care about the masters, so I just figured they were going to throw us to the wayside. And it was more just like, it was very hard to get motivated to work out. I didn't know what I was doing it for. And I just wanted an answer, really. And then I kept putting things off, and that was annoying. And actually, the funny thing was I went to work out in the morning, and I texted one of the owners of my gym just to say something to him. And he responded with, oh, I'm so sorry. I was thinking about you. I'm so sorry. Oh. And I was like, what? And he said, oh, didn't you see the Instagram post? And I was like, no. And he shot it to me. And that's how I found out that there's no games. And, it was nice. I felt some relief, just kind of having something to know. And then I started to get angry, actually. And angry because I felt like, we work our asses off. And I realized that the climate and what they needed to do, I didn't care about that, but what I cared about was the way in which it was conveyed. I thought it was absolutely humiliating. It was, well, the word I use is abominable. Like, it's just like, how hard is it? You were going to send out, kind of a blanket email to us anyway to say, like, congratulations, you made it, How hard is it to give out a blanket email that just drafts and says, we are so sorry, and this is the result, and, and then the other thing, I'm like, couldn't they just say, like, what's your t-shirt size, or what's your shoe size, or give us something that acknowledges, like, you made this and it's not going to happen, but we want to at least mark it for you. So I was upset about that. I still am.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, it's no secret that, prior to, the change in ownership at CrossFit, that the communication is just inhumane sometimes, in terms of keeping people and athletes in the dark, especially when it comes to the games athletes. So really no surprise there. But even for us as, fans of the sport, we felt that emotion too of like, oh, like, what are they doing? And, we have, we're a masters podcast, right? All of us are masters athletes, and we all sort of have these like hopes and dreams of making it one day, or at least, being a fan of all the people that do. And so, it was hard for everybody. And I just can't imagine, you coming back from 2 years, being out of the mix, and then finally, getting to go again and having this happen. So yeah, we get it for sure. I mean,
and I honestly felt especially bad for those individuals who it was their first year making it. Like, I was like, God, if that was my first year, like, I wanted something for them, especially. Like,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, but to find out on social media,
super crappy.
Doesn't feel good.
Totally.
So can I ask, was the Masters Fitness Collective a good alternative to that, or did you think it needed to be more?
That's a good question. Honestly, you might notice a theme with this one. So yeah, I got an email from them saying, top 10 can just qualify. And so I was like, oh, that sounds fun. I'd like competition. I probably won't go because of COVID, whatever, but I'll register. And then talking with my coach, we were like, it'd probably be a good idea to just get some experience. And so I really was going into it like, oh, this will be a nice competition. Like, it'll be just a fun little competition. And then, they came out with like the first 2 workouts or something. And I was like, oh, cool. That's awesome. Those look good and look fun. And then they just, kept coming out with workouts. And as they kept coming out, and I was like, I called my coach. I'm like, this is actually not just a little competition. This is like, I now am getting the understanding that this is actually what they're trying to put on the games for us. And I did not get that before. So I was like, kind of like, oh crap. Guess I should have been training harder. But it was cool to be like, oh, this, like when I saw the 50s workout, it was like, oh boy, that's damage control for me. But I felt like I loved the experience. I thought they did a wonderful job in 3 months doing what they pulled off. It was like pretty remarkable. And I thought the programming was good. I didn't particularly like the 20-pound wall balls, but hey, what are you gonna do? And yeah, I thought it was great. I think that it has a lot of potential, with CrossFit's backing and that sort of thing to really kind of take over for the Masters.
What I think was really cool is you got more coverage in that one weekend than the Masters division has had in 3 years.
Yes.
Because you were the only show in town. The spotlight was on you. You were the stars for one weekend.
And that was really cool. It was nice to feel valued.
Yeah. So do you think that is a viable alternative as your CrossFit Games championship going forward, now that they're going to have more time to plan and really set it up?
It's a good question, and something that I've been kind of wrestling with myself, because there's something, in all of that, it's kind of a yes and, where it's like, could be, but there's also this thing of like kind of feeling a little disappointed that, like, it's not the games, and I don't know, maybe it's going to be bigger than the games. Maybe it's going to be better than the games. But there's this, this thing that you're working towards is getting to the games. And it might just be just this paradigm shift where it's like, no, you're working towards getting to the Masters Fitness Collective. You just have to shift that. But so it's a little bit like, yes, and I'm not sure yet, but I do think it has great potential to be something wonderful for the Masters community.
I love your analysis. It's like you're a therapist or something.
I know, weird, huh?
Well, I will tell you too, the pictures just came out this morning. I don't know if you saw from that weekend, like the professional pictures, and there's a couple good ones of you. So you should check those out.
Thanks. Yeah, I will.
Yeah, they turned out nicely. So let's talk a little bit about your family life. You've got 2 little ones. They're adorable, by the way.
Thank you.
What are their ages now?
Almost 8 and almost 5.
Girlfriend, that is a big deal.
Yeah, it was funny at the 2017 games, all the girls, we would just be all talking, and they're like, oh yeah, one's going off to college, one's 14, 15, and I'm like, oh yeah, one's almost 2. And, like, oh boy, I'm just not even going to advertise this.
You just lived a little more life than some of us before having kids. That's nothing wrong with that.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, it's full, I tried my best with both my kids to, to be with them as much as possible before they went off to school. So I would really arrange a lot of my, so they would always, both my kids would always nap in the middle of the day. And so I would always, selfishly for myself, I always wanted to nap as well. So I would always arrange my schedule so that I was home to nap with them. And so we always had that time, but I would oftentimes, spend a lot of the morning with them, then go to work, then take a nap, then go back to work, then be with them. And so, it was really important to me to spend those early years with them because they're so formative and they don't last very long.
So you would get along with Amy really well because she holds the American record for crushing naps.
I do.
Oh.
Really good nap crusher. I just had one from 8 to 10 a.m. today.
10 out of 10. I love them. Anyone who says they can't nap or that.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, either.
It's especially great right after a hard workout. Like if you can just have a workout and like grab a quick snack and just slam a nap, it's like the best thing ever. And it's good for you.
I'm a weird napper in the sense that people will be like, oh yeah, just grab like a 20-minute power nap. It's great. And I'm like,
No,
I'm like hours.
Hour and a half.
yeah.
Otherwise it's not really worth it.
it's a tease. I'm like, it's like beat
and I will go in my bed, like get into
Dark
like
room.
sleeping clothes. Like I'm not just like dozing off on the couch or something. It's like a real deal, covers and everything.
Totally. I'm with you. We should have a professional nappers club.
I have a t-shirt that says expert napper. So
There you go.
crushing it.
We need one.
I love it. Julie, what do your kids think of mom being, this badass athlete? Do they have a concept of you doing things? Do they try to emulate you? Are they popping barbells around the garage? What's going on?
Well, yeah, I don't know how much they actually soak in. Like my son the other day, he's very competitive and very athletic, and he was talking to me and he's like, I don't know what he was saying, but he was like, well, Mom, you're really, you're good, but you're not that good, or something like that. And I was like, Kanan, okay, I just want to let you know that I'm 6th in the world. And he said, well, yeah, but that's not that great. I said, okay, wait a minute. With all the 45 to 49-year-olds in the entire world, I'm 6th. And he was like, what? Really? So, sorry. So I don't know if he really gets it, but I think it was really cool that he got to, and both of the kids got to watch the Masters Fitness Collective and see their mom. And apparently, after some of my workouts, they came into the garage and they were, doing their own stuff. And so I think my son, especially now being around, almost 8, like he's now realizing it a little bit more, and they're going to start a CrossFit Kids at my gym. So he's going to start doing that. And I think then as he starts, maybe in the next 2 years or something, he might realize it more, but I don't think they just think I'm Mom.
Yeah. What's the name of your affiliate?
Coda CrossFit Ironview.
Coda CrossFit Ironview. Awesome.
Absolutely love it. The owners are amazing. They're just amazing.
Go ahead, Amy.
I was going to say, what are some of your favorite CrossFit movements and least favorite CrossFit movements?
We're gonna match on these.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. I could tell.
Well, I have so don't particularly love wall balls. Rowing, I've gotten a better relationship with. It's not my favorite, but if you pair rowing and wall balls, it's like my nightmare.
And they always do. They always
I know.
do.
So
very, very kind of them.
I have a confession to make on that last, what was it, 20.5? Was it wall balls and rowing? Wasn't there an open workout?
Every year there's an open workout with wall balls and rowing.
19.
There was one.
19.1
Yeah, 20.
was wall balls and rowing.
I didn't do it. First open workout I missed in my entire life. Didn't do it. I was like, nope.
Nope. I'm out.
Two worse things.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Julie. Keep going.
It's really
Sorry.
cruel that. Yeah. And then usually I would say snatch. My body does not like snatch. I have had a very challenging relationship with it. I have had a discussion with it this past year, and we have come to an agreement of respect. And
Are you in couples counseling?
I am
In the snatch?
I am. And but but there's something about snatch in particular where like, it's like, I could say it's not one of my favorite movements, but it actually is kind of one of my favorite movements because it's such a challenge for me. My body has some mobility issues. And so I've just been working on it and working on it and working on it. And so just part of my personality, because I love the challenge, like it's kind of like I hate it and then I love it. And so I don't know how to answer with the snatch, but my favorite movement would probably be bar muscle ups. I find them very fun. And trying to think, toes to bar fun. I mean, I've gotten to really enjoy the gymnastics-y stuff. Again, I wish I had been a gymnast, but what are you gonna do?
You hold the American record in clean and jerk, and that's not your favorite movement?
I do like clean and jerk, but it's not, I've learned, I used to be like, oh, I love clean and jerk, hate snatch. And as I've been learning more and more and working with the Olympic lifts more and more, I have come to realize how much more technical snatch is. And that to me makes me gravitate towards wanting to like that more of like, oh, that's much more challenging. You've got to really conquer that. And so I like clean and jerk. I'm more comfortable with it. My body likes it more, but there's something about snatch that's like seducing me. So
Love it.
So I have a very bizarre question.
Okay.
Have you ever been asked if you look like Kristen Wiig?
No, I don't know who Kristen Wiig is.
So she was on Saturday Night Live for a long time, and then she's been in Bridesmaids and
Which is funny.
yeah, and then she's done dramatic roles too. She was in the movie about getting John Glenn to space, Hidden Figures. She was in Hidden Figures.
I haven't seen a real like a serious movie in probably 8 years since I've been at this point.
I remember those years with the young ones. That
she's watching Finding Nemo and things like that, right?
Yeah.
The Lion King,
which I love.
Well, you'll have to Google Kristen Wiig.
Okay, I will.
You have an uncanny resemblance to her.
you have a much better physique, though. Let's just say that.
100%.
So
I will agree with that.
Yeah. So between 45 and 49, are you creeping up to the 49 part of that age group, or are you still hanging down with the young 45, 46s? Because I can't do math either. How old are you?
I'm 49.
49. Okay. So next open, will you be in a different age group? Oh, sweet. Okay. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I have been saying like, I'm bummed that like the games got canceled this year, but I'd be really bummed if it got canceled next year. Yeah.
That's awesome. So as a 49-year-old at the top of that age group, you were in first place in the Masters Fitness Collective going into the last day.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit of what happened there. I know it's not fun and happy, but I want to hear it.
Why I had to pull out?
Yeah.
Yeah, very bizarre. I had practiced the 50s workout before I left, and when I was going back to the wall balls, I felt something kind of on my muscle on the top of my knee, like on the outside of like the upper quad or lower quad, whatever you want to say, but right above my knee. And it was like making it hard to squat. It didn't hurt, but it was just like, oh, there's something there. And I didn't know what it was. And I thought it was just like maybe tight glued or I didn't know. And anyway, so actually before I left, I was debating whether I should even go because I didn't want to hurt myself. And so anyway, I decided to go, and so it was everything was fine the first day, and then the second day I was walking in the hotel room down to go warm up, and I took a step and I got this shooting pain in my tibia, and it, like below my knee, but definitely in my tibia. It was not in my knee. And I was like, what is that? Never felt that before. Kind of shook it out. It was fine. And then I think I got it another time, once or twice more during the day. And I didn't know what was going on, but just kind of worked through it. And at the end of that, day 2 was all right. And then day 3 came along, and before the first workout, I think it happened again. And it would happen just randomly. I had no idea when it was going to happen, and it was shooting pain, and I couldn't put weight on my leg. So it was like I would like just be stopped in my tracks. And so it happened once, and then did the first workout, no problem. And then before the second workout, which was the deadlift, burpee box jump, which I forgot to say, deadlifts and handstand push-ups, I love those movements. You know, I was kind of like excited for that workout, where I was like, okay, this is my jam. Like I gotta really focus on this one. And I was warming up, and I jumped on the box, no problem, and went to step down. I was stepping off the box, and I felt it, and I was like, oh, no, not during this workout. And so it happened like maybe 3 times. I was walking to the bathroom before I got called up, and it happened like 2 steps while I was walking to the bathroom, and I just didn't know whether I was going to be able to do the workout and it was going to happen during it. But I got through the workout, didn't happen. And then warming up for the third one, it was happening a couple times, and I was like, you know, it's all right, because I'm just riding the bike and bar muscle ups. It should be fine. And I did feel it a couple times when I would like the follow through with your little jerk with your legs when did the muscle ups, but not enough to like cripple me or anything. And then after the third workout, I was like, I think I'm going to get some PT and see what is up with this. And I went over to the PT, and then I had to get something out of my bag, and I went to take a step to go get it, and I couldn't walk. And I tried to take another step, couldn't, like so much pain. It was that same experience, but it was every step. And so then I couldn't walk. And I was panicked at that point and tried to, like, the PT didn't know what it was. Then I saw somebody else. She didn't know what it was. She tried to work with it. And then somebody else late at night, it's probably about 8:30 at night, where she said, well, we have a massage guy that came to work on this other woman. You can come and he'll work on you. So he worked on me, and he, you know, tried his best. He was trying to help, but he wound up cranking on my leg such that it just completely blew up. And it was much more swollen and stiff. And so, yeah, the next day, I barely got any sleep. And then the next day, I just was like, there's just no way. And so I didn't know what had happened. So that's why I pulled out. And then I had to be on crutches actually for like 4 days. Had no idea, thought that I had done something really bad to my knee or something. Because at that point, my knee was affected. And got an MRI, and turns out nothing is bad with it. Well, I mean, it's just a shitty arthritic knee that got really aggravated, did something, and just straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing over the weekend. Probably the snatch run snatch probably didn't like that one a lot.
So, okay. So that sucked, right? I mean, you had to pull out. You were probably, definitely going to podium, if not take the championship for that. I think at least in your mind, you knew how well you were hanging with everybody at that age group. Does that just give you motivation now for this upcoming training season? And what does that look like for you now, assuming that you're, good to go health-wise?
I'm not quite good to go. I'm still limping, but going to work on that. I learned a lot over the weekend, which was awesome. You know, it was awesome to go and just use it as a learning experience as well as gaining experience. Things I want to do differently or do the same, and as well as like sometimes I do have the imposter syndrome, and so it was nice to feel like, oh, I actually do belong, and so that was really nice for me to get and as a takeaway, and just feel like I really a lot of time, like in 2017, I was very distracted by other people and the announcers and, you know, what other people were doing. And I really, what I liked about my performance in the Masters Fitness Collective was that I really didn't, except barring one workout, I really didn't know where anyone else was or what anyone else was doing. I was just in my lane, and I liked that. It works for me, and to just play my game.
Yeah. Do you have sights on other competitions before the Open?
I mean, I'm tempted by the Legends. I'm tempted. But I just don't know with my knee if it's going to be ready. I'm going to be taking some more time off and rehabbing it. And, but you know, it's calling to me. I want to, but I also don't want to do anything that would mess up the Open. And so it's kind of, I'm in limbo right now about it.
Yeah. The stars would have to align. Now, did you not have to do the online qualifiers for that because of your position in the Open?
Right.
That's good. Well, that's good at least, right? You didn't have to go through, because those athletes were doing that like right on the heels of MFC, right?
Yeah. Poor things.
Crazy.
Yeah. One of my friends that was there was like, came back and did all of them. Like, oh God, no way.
Are you close with those girls?
I didn't know any of them. I didn't know any of them. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it was very awesome to, I mean, that's one of the best parts, right? It's like just meeting wonderful people, finding out about who they really are as not just an athlete, but in their lives. And yeah, that's a real special part for me, is just knowing these women and admiring them and cheering them on, you know. At any time that I was like, oh, this is your wheelhouse, like you gotta like do it, you know, go for it. Even if I knew I wasn't gonna, you know, get first or something, but I knew somebody else was like, oh yeah, this is it. I'm like, go win it, like go do it. And being just super like proud and just excited that they were able to execute when it was their turn, you know. It's just like that to me just excites me.
Yeah. Well, and I'm really lucky to be able to sort of go to these events in different capacities and meet you all and be inspired by you as well. So I really want to thank you for your time.
Oh yeah.
You know, we got to make a connection. We got to know a little bit more about you. I think it's a special story, and we're excited to have you on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll look forward to seeing you, you know, in the next season as it comes up, and cheering you on for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate the support.
All right. Thanks.
It was great talking with you, Julie.
Yeah,
you
thanks,
too.
Julie.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.